Good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Joe Montoya. That's Joemontoya. I'm a division chief with Denver Police Department, Division Chief of Investigations. I'm going to go over the chronology of this event. Then I'm going to hand it over to Chief Payson to speak to the condition of the officer, and then we'll open up for questions after that. This evening, about 4:04 p.m., officers responded to a residence up near Knox in Kentucky on a civil standby in reference to a dog issue. There was a dispute over a dog. At 5:24 p.m., officers were called back to that same location with indications that there were parties trying to make entrance into homes and were potentially armed. An officer was in the area. He got into the area and started looking around, trying to scout the area, see what was going on. At that time, the officer was struck by gunfire. There were officers in close proximity. They were able to identify the suspect car. A short pursuit took place. The car came to a stop at Irving and Custer. Suspect was arrested and taken into custody. There is no other suspects that we're looking for at this time. I'm going to hand it over to Chief Payson at this time to talk about the condition of the officer.
Paul Payson, Police Chief, spelling P-A-Z-E-N. Thank you all for being here, and thanks to our community for the concern for our officer. Our officer was struck in the back with gunfire. The officer was not wearing a vest at the time, and we are very fortunate that our officer is still with us. Executive Director Murphy Robinson, as well as the mayor and myself, were able to talk to the officer that was struck by this gunfire. He is in good spirits. He's expected to make a full recovery. We are very thankful on this particular situation that we will be able to have our officer return to duty and do what he loves best, which is protecting this community in Southwest Denver. Thank you very much.
Chief, was your officer uniformed or?
The officer was not in uniform. The officer was in plain clothes.
What unit is he with?
He works with the District 4 Impact Team, or SCAT team.
Can you talk about the severity of the injury? You said he was hit by a bullet, but he's expected to return to duty.
Yes, it did not penetrate, but it left a significant injury on his back.
Was the shooter connected to the original car?
We do not know that right at this point.
So you had identified the suspect car. Was he shooting from the car?
That's part of the investigation at this point, so we're not going to speak to that right now.
Was the suspect aiming at the officer?
Well, he was aiming at the vehicle the officer was in, yes.
And what do you say to anyone who would potentially shoot at a police officer?
Well, I'd say that anybody that shoots at any individual, it's just wrong. It's extremely dangerous to carry a firearm, to use that firearm, and to try to injure others people with a firearm. So whether it's an officer, whether it's a citizen, anybody, it's just not right to be firing a gun at anybody.
Can you describe the duties of an impact officer? Just what's the goal of the unit?
They're a very versatile unit. They're used for various needs within the district. Sometimes they help with covert operations. Sometimes they help with high visibility patrol. They help with community events. They're very versatile units. So they basically, whatever that commander needs this unit to do, they're there to help.
Did the officer fire back, or any officers?
No,
fire back?
Denver Police did not fire any rounds.
How many times did the suspect fire a gun?
That's part of the investigation.
Just so I know what I was looking at, at the other scene, there's an Audi and a Jeep. Is the Audi the vehicle that we're talking about?
I do not know.
So the officer was in his car when he was shot.
Yes.
Was he moving?
That's part of the investigation right now.
And
Yes.
so he was shot through the window, through the door.
Apparently, I would assume through the door. The driver, sole occupant of the car, so I believe it penetrated through the driver's side.
But the bullet did not penetrate his body.
He was struck in the back. Yes.
There was apparently a extended period of trying to get this suspect in custody at the other end of this scene? Can you go into that at all?
I'm not aware of that. I know they got him stopped and they did get him into custody. I'm not sure what all went into the arrest.
Obviously, a lot of people live right around here. You've got a Boys and Girls Club there. At the other end of the scene, you've got an elementary school. What do you say to people who live in this area and feel like they're not living in a safe spot with their kids right now?
Well, I mean, we have to be cognizant of everything going on around us. We go through great lengths to try to educate the community and help them with understanding what the safety protocols are and try to keep this community safe as possible. I know we work closely with the schools and with the Boys and Girls Club. The protocol for tonight was a lockdown immediately. The school wasn't functioning at the time, but the Boys Club and Girls Club was. So they wanted an immediate lockdown. Officers went to secure that and make sure that everything was safe there. But just in general, in our community, you just have to be cognizant, have to be safe. Got to pay attention to what's going on around you. And if you see something, say something, please. If something looks suspicious, if you know of anybody that's wants to be involved in any kind of violent crimes, please communicate with the police department, either through Crime Stoppers or calling the district station. Just communicate with us and let us know what's going on, because we want to get in front of this before incidents like this happen.
Can you talk a little more about the dog dispute? I mean, did officers know there was a gun involved at that dispute?
No, the initial dispute was just a civil standby to be there so that there wouldn't be any problems, and which my understanding is there really wasn't. The officers were there, communication between the individuals was had, and then they were done with it.
So was this suspect involved in the officer-involved shooting part of that dispute?
That's unknown at this time.
Typically, Chief, should officers in that unit be wearing their vests?
Well, if they're going to be involved in a tactical operation, it's best practice to have a vest on. Now, it's hard to say what this was going on at this time when this officer rolled into the area, but I know that officers in plainclothes capacity, when they know they're going to be involved in some sort of tactical operation, they're always vested up.
Can you just go into that a little bit? Talk about why he was in plain clothes and if he was on duty, is what you were saying?
He was on duty. I can't really explain to what their function was tonight or what their mission was tonight and why he was in plain clothes in an unmarked car tonight. I just know that was the situation tonight when he came into the area in response to this call.
Plain clothes and unmarked car?
Yes.
Do you know if the suspect was targeted as
We do not know. It's hard to tell right now. That's going to be part of the investigation. We have to speak to people, witnesses, and the suspect if he's willing to talk to us.
Have you seen an uptick in crime in this neighborhood recently? Is that why that unit was here?
I do. I can't really speak to that. I don't have that information.
Can you just speak a little bit? I mean, we're standing across the street. There's a mural across the street that's an anti-gun violence mural. It was just put up this year. I mean, this neighborhood's been reeling from gun violence, and now an officer was hit with a bullet. Can you maybe just speak a little bit to that in this neighborhood?
I know there is a lot of work going on in this community right now. I know that they've activated the Westwood community, the police department, other community resources have come in. They're working with the community to really try to emphasize that message. They're trying to make this neighborhood as safe as possible. So there is a lot of work going on, and I think that's part of what went into the mural. It's just trying to give this community a voice. They don't want this. They don't want this in their community, and we're working hard to make sure that we're able to minimize the violence in this
And
community.
could you give us a little bit more information on if you have information on the officer, years on, stuff like that?
Pardon me?
How many years on does the officer have?
I'll let the chief speak to that.
Again, this is a phenomenal officer who cares about this community. This officer goes out to keep this particular community safe every single day. The officer's been on the job 4 years, has a great attitude, really doesn't like the fuss that's being made over him. It's remarkable that he's doing as well as he is, considering how dangerous this situation was. And what he's shared with the mayor and the executive director of public safety is that he wants to get back out here and help keep this particular neighborhood safe from gun violence. It's no secret. There are too many individuals that are willing to point guns and pull triggers in our city, all parts of our city, and that's not acceptable. And so this officer and the officers that responded are focused on preventing that gun violence, and will do everything possible to hold this individual accountable for this high level of violence in a neighborhood.
Did
So
you
thank
recover a weapon?
That's part of the investigation, and we're not going to go into what evidence was recovered.
Can you just speak to that a little bit, just about, how does it feel as the leader of this department, whether intentionally or unintentionally, one of your men was shot?
It's the worst call that any of us, whether you're the chief of police or you're the officer's supervisor, ever want to hear, that one of your officers was shot. And I also want to point to our officer's family, right? We're very fortunate that in this case that our officer is expected to make a full recovery, but the officer's family having a notification that your loved one has been shot in the line of duty is absolutely a devastating phone call or a devastating communication to have. In this particular case, we are very fortunate, we are very thankful, we're very appreciative of the community support. And this particular officer works exceptionally hard every single day, as do the rest of the District 4 team, to help keep the Westwood neighborhood safe and all the neighborhoods that make up Police District 4 safe.
Thank you, Chief. Real quick, just to get it right, can you generally walk through the events from here to the other scene? Just, it's okay if you repeat yourself, just
Okay, so the officers what brought them here when the officer was struck with gunfire was the call of people trying to gain entry into a home, potentially armed, and that was at 5:24 p.m. It's called out that the officer shot at 5:35 p.m. Again, officers were in the area because of the initial call. They quickly observed the suspect, initiated a short pursuit, which ended at Cedar and Irving. Custer and Irving. I'm sorry. Custer and Irving. I'm not sure at what exact time the stop was made, but it was in very close proximity to when the officer had been shot.
taken into custody there.
Taken into custody at the.
So you think the person who was trying to get into the house, the call for the person who was trying to get into the house armed was the person who shot at the cop?
We're not sure there's a connection yet. We haven't made that connection. The investigation will hopefully clear that up for us.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you all. Thank you. Appreciate it.